Israel. Israel, formerly known as the State of Israel, is a country in Western Asia, located on the southeastern shore of the Mediterranean Sea and the northern shore of the Red Sea. It has land borders with Lebanon to the north, Syria to the northeast, Jordan on the east, the Palestinian territories of the West Bank and Gaza Strip to the east and west, respectively, and Egypt to the southwest. The country contains geographically diverse features within its relatively small area. Israel's economic and technological center is Tel Aviv, while its seat of government and proclaimed capital is Jerusalem, although the state's sovereignty over Jerusalem has only partial recognition. Israel has evidence of the earliest migration of hominids out of Africa. Canaanite tribes are archaeologically attested since the Middle Bronze Age, while the kingdoms of Israel and Judah emerged during the Iron Age. The Neo-Assyrian Empire destroyed Israel around 720 BCE. Judah was later conquered by the Babylonian, Persian and Hellenistic empires and had existed as Jewish autonomous provinces. The successful Maccabean revolt led to an independent Hasmonean kingdom by 110 BCE, which in 63 BCE, however, became a client state of the Roman Republic that subsequently installed the Herodian dynasty in 37 BCE, and in 6 CE created the Roman province of Judea. Judea lasted as a Roman province until the failed Jewish revolts resulted in widespread destruction, the expulsion of the Jewish population, and the renaming of the region from Judea to Syria Palestina. The Jewish presence in the region has persisted to a certain extent over the centuries. In the 7th century CE, the Levant was taken from the Byzantine Empire by the Arabs and remained in Muslim control until the First Crusade of 1099, followed by the Ayyubid conquest of 1187. The Mamluk Sultanate of Egypt extended its control over the Levant in the 13th century until its defeat by the Ottoman Empire in 1517. During the 19th century, national awakening among Jews led to the establishment of the Zionist movement in the diaspora, followed by waves of immigration to Ottoman Syria and later Mandatory Palestine. In 1947, the United Nations (UN) adopted a partition plan for Palestine, recommending the creation of independent Arab and Jewish states and an internationalized Jerusalem. The plan was accepted by the Jewish Agency and rejected by Arab leaders. The following year, the Jewish Agency declared the independence of the State of Israel, and the subsequent 1948 Arab-Israeli War saw Israel's establishment over most of the former Mandate territory, while the West Bank and Gaza were held by neighboring Arab states. Israel has since fought several wars with Arab countries, and since the Six-Day War in June 1967 held occupied territories including the West Bank, Golan Heights, and the Gaza Strip, still considered occupied after the 2005 disengagement, although some legal experts dispute this claim. It extended its laws to the Golan Heights and East Jerusalem, but not the West Bank. Israel's occupation of the Palestinian territories is the world's longest military occupation in modern times. Efforts to resolve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict have not resulted in a final peace agreement, while Israel has signed peace treaties with both Egypt and Jordan. Etymology of Israel. Under British Mandate 1920 to 1948, the whole region was known as Palestine, lit. Palestine Eretz Israel. Upon independence in 1948, the country formally adopted the name, State of Israel. About this sound Medinat Yisrael, Medinat Jisrael, Dalit Israel, Dalit Israel, after other proposed historical and religious names including Eretz Israel, the land of Israel, Eber, from ancestor Eber, Zion, and Judea, were considered but rejected, while the name, Israel, was suggested by Ben-Gurion and passed by a vote of 6-3. In the early weeks of independence, the government chose the term Israeli to denote a citizen of Israel, with the formal announcement made by Minister of Foreign Affairs Moshe Sharett. The names Land of Israel and Children of Israel have historically been used to refer to the biblical Kingdom of Israel and the entire Jewish people respectively. The name Israel, Hebrew, Yisrael, Israel, Septuagint Greek, Israel, El, God, persists, rules, though after Hosea chapter 12 verse 4 often interpreted as struggle with God in these phrases refers to the patriarch Jacob who, according to the Hebrew Bible, was given the name after he successfully wrestled with the angel of the Lord. Jacob's 12 sons became the ancestors of the Israelites, also known as the 12 tribes of Israel or children of Israel. Jacob and his sons had lived in Canaan but were forced by famine to go into Egypt for 4 generations, lasting 430 years, until Moses, a great-great-grandson of Jacob, led the Israelites back into Canaan during the Exodus. The earliest known archaeological artifact to mention the word Israel as a collective is the Merneptah stele of ancient Egypt, dated to the late 13th century BCE. The area is also known as the Holy Land, being holy for all Abrahamic religions including Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and the Bahá'í Faith. Through the centuries, the territory was known by a variety of other names, including Canaan, Jahi, Samaria, Judea, Yehud, Judea, Syria, Palestina, and southern Syria. History of Israel. The oldest evidence of early humans in the territory of modern Israel, dating to 1.5 million years ago, was found in Ubadia near the Sea of Galilee. Other notable Paleolithic sites include the caves Tabun, Kesem and Manat. The oldest fossils of anatomically modern humans found outside Africa are the Skul and Kafsa hominins, who lived in the area that is now northern Israel 120,000 years ago. Around the 10th millennium BCE, the Natufian culture existed in the area. The early history of the territory is unclear. 104 Modern archaeology has largely discarded the historicity of the narrative in the Torah concerning the patriarchs, the Exodus, and the conquest of Canaan described in the Book of Joshua, and instead views the narrative as constituting the Israelites' national myth. During the Late Bronze Age 1550 to 1200 BCE, large parts of Canaan formed vassal states paying tribute to the new Kingdom of Egypt, whose administrative headquarters lay in Gaza. Ancestors of the Israelites are thought to have included ancient Semitic-speaking peoples native to this area. 78 to 79 The Israelites and their culture, according to the modern archaeological account, did not overtake the region by force, but instead branched out of these Canaanite peoples and their cultures through the development of a distinct monolatristic, and later monotheistic, religion centered on Yahweh. The archaeological evidence indicates a society of village-like centers, but with more limited resources and a small population. Villages had populations of up to 300 or 400, which lived by farming and herding, and were largely self-sufficient. Economic interchange was prevalent. The writing was known and available for recording, even in small sites. Geography of Israel. Israel is located in the Levant area of the Fertile Crescent region. The country is at the eastern end of the Mediterranean Sea, bounded by Lebanon to the north, Syria to the northeast, Jordan and the West Bank to the east, and Egypt and the Gaza Strip to the southwest. It lies between latitudes 29 degrees and 34 degrees north, and longitudes 34 degrees and 36 degrees east. The sovereign territory of Israel, according to the demarcation lines of the 1949 armistice agreements and excluding all territories captured by Israel during the 1967 Six-Day War, is approximately 20,770 square kilometers, 8,019 square miles in area, of which 2% is water. However, Israel is so narrow, 100 kilometers at its widest, compared to 400 kilometers from north to south, that the exclusive economic zone in the Mediterranean is double the land area of the country. The total area under Israeli law, including East Jerusalem and the Golan Heights, is 22,072 square kilometers, 8,522 square miles, and the total area under Israeli control, including the military-controlled and partially Palestinian-governed territory of the West Bank, is 27,799 square kilometers, 10,733 square miles. Despite its small size, Israel is home to a variety of geographic features, from the Negev Desert in the south to the inland fertile Jezreel Valley, mountain ranges of the Galilee, Carmel and toward the Golan in the north. The Israeli coastal plain on the shores of the Mediterranean is home to most of the nation's population. East of the Central Highlands lies the Jordan Rift Valley. This forms a small part of the 6,500-kilometer (4,039 miles) Great Rift Valley. The Jordan River runs along the Jordan Rift Valley, from Mount Hermon through the Hula Valley and the Sea of Galilee to the Dead Sea, the lowest point on the surface of the earth. Further south is the Arabah, ending with the Gulf of Eilat, part of the Red Sea. Unique to Israel and the Sinai Peninsula are Makhtshim, or erosion cirques. The largest Maktech in the world is Ramon Crater in the Negev, which measures 40 by 8 kilometers, 25 by 5 miles. A report on the environmental status of the Mediterranean basin states that Israel has the largest number of plant species per square meter of all the countries in the basin. Languages of Israel. Israel has one official language, Hebrew. Arabic had been an official language of the State of Israel. In 2018 it was downgraded to having a special status in the state, with its use by state institutions to be set in law. Hebrew is the primary language of the state and is spoken every day by the majority of the population.
Arabic is spoken by the Arab minority, with Hebrew taught in Arab schools.
Education in Israel. Education is highly valued in the Israeli culture and was viewed as a fundamental block of ancient Israelites. Jewish communities in the Levant were the first to introduce compulsory education, for which the organized community, not less than the parents, were responsible. Many international business leaders such as Microsoft founder Bill Gates have praised Israel for its high quality of education in helping spur Israel's economic development and technological boom. In 2015, the country ranked third among OECD members, after Canada and Japan, for the percentage of 25 to 64-year-olds that have attained tertiary education, with 49% compared with the OECD average of 35%. In 2012, the country ranked third in the world in the number of academic degrees per capita, 20% of the population. Israel has a school life expectancy of 16 years and a literacy rate of 97.8%. The state education law, passed in 1953, established 5 types of schools: state secular, state religious, ultra-Orthodox, communal settlement schools, and Arab schools. The public secular is the largest school group and is attended by the majority of Jewish and non-Arab pupils in Israel. Most Arabs send their children to schools where Arabic is the language of instruction. Education is compulsory in Israel for children between the ages of 3 and 18. Government and politics of Israel. Israel is a parliamentary democracy with universal suffrage. A member of parliament supported by a parliamentary majority becomes the prime minister. Usually, this is the chair of the largest party. The prime minister is the head of government and head of the cabinet. Israel is governed by a 120-member parliament, known as the Knesset. Membership of the Knesset is based on proportional representation of political parties, with a 3.25% electoral threshold, which in practice has resulted in coalition governments. Residents of Israeli settlements in the West Bank are eligible to vote, and after the 2015 election, 10 of the 120 MKs, 8%, were settlers. Parliamentary elections are scheduled every 4 years, but unstable coalitions or a no-confidence vote by the Knesset can dissolve a government earlier. The basic laws of Israel function as an uncodified constitution. In 2003, the Knesset began to draft an official constitution based on these laws. The President of Israel is head of state, with limited and largely ceremonial duties. Israel has no official religion, but the definition of the state as Jewish and democratic creates a strong connection with Judaism, as well as a conflict between state law and religious law. Interaction between the political parties keeps the balance between state and religion largely as it existed during the British Mandate. Military of Israel. The Israel Defense Forces (IDF) is the sole military wing of the Israeli security forces and is headed by its Chief of General Staff, the Ramatkal, subordinate to the cabinet. The IDF consists of the Army, Air Force and Navy. It was founded during the 1948 Arab-Israeli War by consolidating paramilitary organizations, chiefly the Haganah, that preceded the establishment of the state. The IDF also draws upon the resources of the Military Intelligence Directorate (Amman), which works with Mossad and Shabak. The Israel Defense Forces have been involved in several major wars and border conflicts in its short history, making it one of the most battle-trained armed forces in the world. Economy of Israel. Israel is considered the most advanced country in Southwest Asia and the Middle East in economic and industrial development. Israel's quality university education and the establishment of a highly motivated and educated populace is largely responsible for spurring the country's high-technology boom and rapid economic development. In 2010, it joined the OECD. The country is ranked 16th in the World Economic Forum's Global Competitiveness Report and 54th on the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business Index. Israel was also ranked 5th in the world by share of people in high-skilled employment. Israeli economic data covers the economic territory of Israel, including the Golan Heights, East Jerusalem, and Israeli settlements in the West Bank. Despite limited natural resources, intensive development of the agricultural and industrial sectors over the past decades has made Israel largely self-sufficient in food production, apart from grains and beef. Imports to Israel, totaling $66.76 billion in 2017, include raw materials, military equipment, investment goods, rough diamonds, fuels, grain, and consumer goods. Leading exports include machinery and equipment, software, cut diamonds, agricultural products, chemicals, and textiles and apparel. In 2017, Israeli exports reached $60.6 billion. The Bank of Israel holds $113 billion of foreign exchange reserves. Since the 1970s, Israel has received military aid from the United States, as well as economic assistance in the form of loan guarantees, which now account for roughly half of Israel's external debt. Israel has one of the lowest external debts in the developed world and is a lender in terms of net external debt, assets versus liabilities abroad, which in 2015 stood at a surplus of $69 billion. Israel has the second largest number of startup companies in the world after the United States and the third largest number of Nasdaq-listed companies after the US and China. Intel and Microsoft built their first overseas research and development facilities in Israel, and other high-tech multinational corporations, such as IBM, Google, Apple, Hewlett-Packard, Cisco Systems, Facebook, and Motorola have opened research and development centers in the country. In 2007, American investor Warren Buffett's holding company Berkshire Hathaway bought an Israeli company, Iskar, its first acquisition outside the United States, for $4 billion. Tourism in Israel. Tourism, especially religious tourism, is an important industry in Israel, with the country's temperate climate, beaches, archaeological, other historical and biblical sites, and unique geography also drawing tourists. Israel's security problems have taken their toll on the industry, but the number of incoming tourists is on the rebound. In 2017, a record of 3.6 million tourists visited Israel, yielding a 25% growth since 2016 and contributed NIS $20 billion to the Israeli economy. Sport in Israel. The most popular spectator sports in Israel are association football and basketball. The Israeli Premier League is the country's premier football league, and the Israeli Basketball Premier League is the premier basketball league. Maccabi Haifa, Maccabi Tel Aviv, Hapoel Tel Aviv and Beitar Jerusalem are the largest football clubs. Maccabi Tel Aviv, Maccabi Haifa, and Hapoel Tel Aviv have competed in the UEFA Champions League, and Hapoel Tel Aviv reached the UEFA Cup quarterfinals. Israel hosted and won the 1964 AFC Asian Cup. In 1970, the Israel national football team qualified for the FIFA World Cup, the only time it participated in the World Cup. The 1974 Asian Games, held in Tehran, were the last Asian Games in which Israel participated, plagued by the Arab countries that refused to compete with Israel. Israel was excluded from the 1978 Asian Games and since then has not competed in Asian sport events. In 1994, UEFA agreed to admit Israel, and its football teams now compete in Europe. Maccabi Tel Aviv BC has won the European Championship in basketball 6 times. In 2016, the country was chosen as a host for the Eurobasket 2017. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, click on like button. If you want to watch more videos like this, click on the subscription button below. It's free subscription.